Welcome to Wave Manga, and this is a what if. And from a previous what if, I did what if Asta was in a different Magic Knight squad. That's actually my currently most viewed episode video on this channel, so I thought I might do another what if. And this is what if Midoriya Deku had the powers of the Speed Force from the Flash. So this is going to be up until the end of season, up to the end of season 3, in the fight, up until the fight with, say, Bakugo. And this is as far as I'm planning on going, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And it's just One For All does exist in this what if. It's just before All Might gave Deku One For All, the Speed Force powers that Deku got have been given to him. By... okay. We start off, the series is the same. Deku's powerless, and he gets bullied by Bakugo. It goes throughout the first episode, pretty much the same. Up until, except for that All Might catches the slime villain before running into Deku. And, Deku is just really depressed, and the weather, by the end of the day, the weather is just starting to reel in, and he just wants to know why. And at this point, here's a change. There's going to be some scientists in this timeline, the people who were... I'm going to take it from the Flash show on how, Star Labs were the ones who were working on a generator. On the same thing that they were doing in Season 1. So, Star Labs is in this universe, so they're, using the reactor, and it's going on. And when that's going on, it's it malfunctions like it does in the Flash, and it kicks up a storm, and that night, when Deku is just on a walk because he's been depressed. This is after the day of episode 1, after All Might with the slime villain and all of episode 1. This is the night of episode 1, and it's just a huge storm rolls in, and it strikes Deku. Deku gets struck by lightning. And he basically goes into a coma for a very long time, just like in the Flash. And it's in fact that Deku is the only one really with Speed Force powers in this world. So everybody else has quirk-based abilities, and Deku just has the Flash abilities. And it's eventually he does wake up, and he's basically the Flash. He has, I'm going to make it that, Deku has already, it's been, nearly 10 months. It's been the 10 months gap between, that day and when Midoriya wakes up from the coma. And I'm just gonna say that, well, it's gonna be, I don't know, it's just going to be, halfway through the time, 5 months, I guess it would be. Midoriya waking up from his coma, going to school, and working on his way to go to UA. Eventually he does find out that he has speed abilities. And and his lightning that comes off him when he runs is green, because Deku is green. It's just Deku does figure out that he has abilities. And he's shocked about this, and he goes... and since he knows so much since he has so much manuals about superheroes and all that, and since he has he's physically, right now I'd have to say that he's okay for getting One For All. He's really ripped, and it's just, he's pretty impressive. He picks up on his abilities really quick because he has his entire hero manual. There's probably, in My Hero Academia Vigilantes, there's a hero called O-Clock. And his ability is basically a speed-based quirk like the Flash. And his ability is basically to increase his, well, it's the same Flash abilities, but Midoriya, with all of his, all his writing and all his, analyzing of hero abilities, he's been able to figure out some pretty advanced techniques of speed powers. He's easily able to run up to, it was up to 300 kilometers. It's just, he's been training with this quirk from, as well as been studying and learning stuff so he can get into UA. And Bakugo does find out that he has a quirk within that time period. And it's like, Midoriya does actually, and Bakugo is pissed. Because, well, here's a fun thing. Bakugo did show up to Midoriya when he was in a coma and said, well, I'm just making liberties and saying, you better wake up so I can teach you a lesson. It's just, I see Bakugo as still looking as Midoriya as kind of a friend, even though he doesn't want to admit it. He may be the punching bag, but if Midoriya isn't really in his life, there's not really much to Bakugo, really. So, Midoriya does go around, he learns his abilities pretty quickly, and is able to press them forward. And since they don't have the same limits, the same downfalls as One For All, it's pretty impressive on his abilities. He's not as skilled as he could be. He only has 5 months to prepare, and it's just he in fact learns phasing, so he can vibrate. He learns to phase, and he also, well, he doesn't know how to throw lightning, but he does know some techniques of the Flash, and he can in fact, well, I'm just getting caught up. I'll just move to the exam. And with the exam, Midoriya does do way better. He still gets into Class 1A, and also he is really nervous about getting in. He does meet Uraraka on the first day. He does fall down in this timeline as well, and Uraraka does save him, and he does have a crush on her. And Ida, it still happens, and when he meets Ida for the first time, well, it's throughout the whole thing, it's kind of different. Midoriya does take down quite a few robots with his abilities, and although he primarily does save people and just try to get people out of the way and still take down robots. He just has no idea. He just can't let people get hurt, so he's just going around taking out robots and helping people, which helps him immensely. And when Uraraka does get attacked by the 0-point robot, he phases her through the boulders and gets her out of there. And there's kind of and here's something fun I thought of. There is actually, feels like he's being shown up by somebody who has a better speed quirk than him. Because Midoriya's Flash abilities, Speed Force powers, are way more impressive than Ida's abilities. They still get into the same class, and they keep it going on. And in this timeline, Aizawa doesn't have the first day quirk training. They go through all the normal school stuff, but there's always this little bit of animosity with Ida towards Deku, thinking, I've never heard of this guy. I've never seen somebody move so fast. I can still do it. I can still be a good hero. It's just he always feels around Deku a little bit inferior, which builds into an inferiority complex, because in his class there's a person who has a better speed ability to him. And Bakugo, he has learnt about this new ability, and he is pretty pissed off about it. He isn't pissed off at Deku for having a power. Well, he's kind of gotten slightly used to it, but he is still mad about it. So, we go throughout most of this story. We have like Deku does kind of have in the training, the villain versus matches against Bakugo, Midoriya, Ida, and Uraraka. Since Deku doesn't... Also, One For All hasn't been passed on yet, at all. All Might is still thinking about a good host, a good person to pass on the quirk to. He hasn't quite... He's looking at Deku and I'm just gonna say it, Midoriya's costume is exactly the same. Everything's the same, it's just Deku has speed powers in this one. And it's just like, Deku speed blitzes Bakugo and in fact takes him out almost immediately, which really pisses off Bakugo. Because Deku is probably the fastest character in this series. He doesn't have his incredible strength, but I'd have to say that his speed abilities are quite impressive. And in fact, the competition is over like that. Deku in fact defeats both Ida and Bakugo by restraining them and getting to the bomb, because he's way faster than anybody else. So, we keep going through that. Like, Midoriya's and he has learned phasing abilities. And he does try pushing his quirk to the limit. Let me see. He does see that, like... there's like all this other stuff I can get through. Oh, the USJ arc, that's the next one. The USJ arc is just like... all these... like, everything's the same except for Deku having the Speed Force. And if you want to complain, I should have brought this up, if you want to complain that, oh, why is the Speed Force in My Hero? Technically, the Speed Force is the reason why motion exists. That's the explanation of what the Speed Force is. So technically the Speed Force exists throughout all time. Throughout every universe and throughout all time. So, that is the reason why it's in here. So, it's just like, Midoriya is just flying through it to the USJ. He hasn't broken any limbs, and he's just been, honestly, being a pretty good student. It's been like, he's been figuring out his abilities, and he's not really that... he's a pretty light guy, he's just not... And in fact, Tsuyu doesn't say, oh, your quirk is a lot like All Might's. So that, she doesn't bring that up. The USJ happens the same way as all the other, as the whole thing, except when Deku and Tsuyu are... it's just like, Deku doesn't have the strength, but he does have he can run on water. So he does, when they get on the ship, Deku does come up with a plan to try to carry both Mineta and Tsuyu to try to get them out of there. He runs over the water, escaping from the villains, and the villains do try to take him down, but like, Midoriya is at a disadvantage and does escape. But I'm sorry if this isn't so explain as great as it could be, but I just think this is the first time I've been really doing this. Well, let's see. When Deku does find Shigaraki, and he does get there way before, like, when Aizawa is just taking on, like, the riffraff villains and hasn't gotten to, like, the Nomu and Shigaraki. Shigaraki has caught both Tsuyu and Mineta and is threatening to kill him if... What now? I'm sorry I woke you up. I don't need to be so grumpy.
What? Try living with you.
Try living with you. And Shane. And And Aizawa is not happy with Deku at all letting his students be captured. So he is chastising Midoriya, and Midoriya just tries to save him. He goes after him really fast. Shigaraki can't get him, so he orders Nomu to just let them go and kill Deku. And Nomu does try to hit him, but he just can't touch him because Deku is moving so fast. It's just like the lightning is going all around, and Deku is just mainly keeping the Nomu is just mainly keeping the Nomu preoccupied. Sorry. And at that moment, Aizawa races Shigaraki's quirk and starts taking him down. It's just a one-on-one fighting him. Well, Tsuyu and Mineta is escaping. And he's doing pretty well. And in fact, in this timeline, Shigaraki does get captured at the USJ. Well, he gets this close to being captured at the USJ. Kurogiri just barely gets him. The heroes are this close to catching him. And that's basically it. It's still the same thing. And then we get to the Sports Festival arc. The Sports Festival arc is, it's a good arc. It's just like, although with the orders that it goes in, Deku is still the first one to win. Not because of all this other stuff that he did. It's just he evades all the robots and all that. He's just blindingly fast. And in fact, by this point, he's increased in speed, and he's also been fiddling with his quirk. And also in this universe, he's already been using shoot style. He's been using his legs for combat. Well, it's a combination of his arms. And Midoriya is really fast, and has this really blitzed. You know how Ito was upset about coming in like 16th place, I think it was? He was pretty down on himself. Now, he's been feeling that way for this entire time, so that's gonna build to a boiling point. By this point, Ida is just pissed at Deku. He just doesn't like him. And he thinks that Midoriya is just a show-off person. And he just feels like inferior in every way to Deku. And he feels like his entire family is nothing but a joke. And how slow they are. You keep going, and it's the same real thing, except Midoriya is one of the horses. Well, I could actually just see it being Midoriya and Uraraka, like Midoriya just carrying Uraraka on his back and just running around, and him just stealing headbands. So honestly, Midoriya does pretty well in this competition. He just like steals a whole bunch of different headbands with just a team of him and Uraraka. So the two of them just blitz the second competition. In fact, Midoriya notices something weird, like a blip opens up. Like something opens up in front of him while he was running. It was just for a second, but he noticed something open up. And then we get to the combat portion of this thing. Like, I know I haven't been in depth. I'm just new at what ifs. I'm thinking about making this channel just what ifs, because I don't think there are many actually what if channels out there. I think I do like what ifs. Like, the reason that I'm making this is just for the what if of Marvel things and how good my What If Asta one was. So Midoriya is, he goes up against the same, goes against Brainwashing Guy. Unfortunately, he's eliminated in the first match. So that's pretty embarrassing, because unlike before, he doesn't really have the multiple people behind him telling him no and making him use his power. He doesn't like have All For One to help him. But he gets eliminated straight away, because Midoriya isn't... I hated that scene, personally. It's just like, Midoriya, you were told his ability, and you didn't... I just hated that. Like, Midoriya gets knocked out, there's no real competition. It's honestly underwhelming. But with such an impressive quirk, and with no counter to it, Midoriya just gets knocked out. Next one is that all the matches go differently. Like, the second match was Shoto versus the Brainwashing Guy, and unfortunately, throughout most of this timeline, Shoto doesn't use his ice ability; he uses fire ability. So that's kind of a... So Todoroki is kind of nerfed in this series. Is kind of nerfed for a bit of this series. And Shoto doesn't really get the thing with Midoriya since he was eliminated. And it goes... Well, Todoroki gets... Well, probably Midoriya told Todoroki about his ability, and unlike Midoriya, he wouldn't have been an idiot. Also, Todoroki wouldn't have thought that he was anything like All Might, so no real conversation there. He was just letting his team... and plus, Todoroki hadn't declared war on Midoriya, so most of the tension between Midoriya and Shoto is completely gone. And that's pretty much... Shoto does not answer his questions and then just knocks him out. Just freezes him, just as he did with Zero, because unfortunately he doesn't have any physical capabilities. So let's see, what's next? It goes about the same, except there's no fire ability, and Bakugo isn't as pissed, as pissed as he was in the original thing. They don't have to chain him up like a rabid dog. Great for his public image. He's still a little... He's actually happy, I'd have to say. He's happy since he didn't see Shoto go all out. But, it would be those two. And, well, let me see, what's next? Oh, it was the, internships. Well, since, Midoriya didn't really have any... Didn't have a real... Well, since he was so good in all the events and showed his skill with his abilities, he probably had like a few requests from probably really good heroes. I'm trying to think of a hero that has a similar ability to him. I probably have to say I don't know which one he would have gone with. Although, no, here, I think, actually, Ida dies in this timeline. Because he goes after Stain, nobody's really there to help him. He finds Native, and he finds Stain, and Stain taps him. He is dead in this timeline. Because of his inferiority complex and his pure rage towards Stain. So Ida's just gone. It's just everything built up to it. He just died, and without Midoriya there, he would have died in the original timeline, so Iida's dead. Now, so, I think actually Deku would have still gone to Gran Torino with his air quirk. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be like a... Oh wait, I think All Might would have told Midoriya about, like, I can't think of any speed heroes who have quirks like Midoriya's speed abilities, but I think that, like, All Might would have, like, suggested Gran Torino for Deku, and that would have been, like, Deku would have been All Might, this is All Might's teacher? Oh my god. And it probably, and Deku would have probably, Deku is still pretty much idolizing All Might at this point. No, it's kind of like they don't have a personal relationship like they do in the original timeline. It's just like, it's like Midoriya, and it's just like a teacher and student relationship. And it's just goes throughout the series, and since Stain survives in this, doesn't get arrested in this timeline, and I don't think Shoto goes to his father's agency in this timeline. And I'll just keep it with the agent. He goes to his father's agency in this timeline. Although he still doesn't use his fire abilities. He keeps going on, and also Shoto doesn't visit his mom. So that's another bummer. Keep going. I'm just going to go until the end of Season 2. I know this is probably a really long video, but I'm just trying to figure out what the differences would be. After that would have to be the... Oh wait, I said it would. Never mind, I'm not doing it until Season 3. I'm just doing it until Season 2. I'm gonna probably make another video, what if Deku had the Speed Force at a later date. Part 2, like Season 3 and 4, but I'm just gonna do Season 1 and 2. Let's see. Well, Deku would get to the competition. Well, they would actually be mourning Ida. Although, it might be a jerk thing to do that I'm doing, but unfortunately, Ida's spot will be replaced by the brainwashing guy. I forget his name, but he's like in this timeline, and he's like as the all that, and it's pretty much like people are mourning Ida, and with all of his insecurities and all that, he's really missed, and it does kind of go down on Deku's conscience, like, oh my god, he's dead. It's just like everybody's mourning him. Even Bakugo says that he may have had a stick up his ass, but I'm gonna miss that guy. And since Stain's still around, there is no real reason why Toga, Dobby, and all that, all like the League of Villains would attack, would have the Vanguard Action Squad. So all the characters that would have joined because of Stain are no longer around. I'm sure they would. I'm thinking they are going to join Stain, but I think Stain still does get defeated. I think he's going to get so much of a problem that he... No wait. Stain doesn't get caught, and we keep going throughout the series, and we get to like the midterms, and like Deku like floors that, and like we get another, it goes the same way. Like, Midoriya and Bakugo are still pissed at each other. They still don't like each other. Well, Bakugo is still pissed at, like, Midoriya. And he keeps going on. he holds a grudge about Midoriya, but actually they work better in this timeline. And All Might does respect both of them. And also, All Might still has his 3 hours. He hasn't gone down at all. Although he's still looking for a successor. And I'm going to reveal who I think that successor will be. It's just like we keep going throughout the season. Bakugo and Midoriya do not defeat All Might, but they still get past. And also the I hate myself. I forget names all the time. The belly button laser guy, he still does like the Uraka love thing. And Midoriya is probably better trained in this timeline with the training that he had with. And also, I'd have to say that Midoriya doesn't have any scars on him, and he hasn't really taken as much damage as the original Midoriya has. So, let's see. Who do you think? I think it is Lemillion who would be chosen to be the next user of One for All. And he would be pretty good, but that'll be coming up later. It's just like at this time, like All Might has decided on who he's going to pass the quirk down to, and he gave it to Lemillion. That's what I think. So, let's see. That's pretty much it. And this is just a what if. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope to do more what ifs. So this is Webmaker and Major Mayor signing out.